Hi, everybody. I wanted to come into the news feed here to talk to you a little bit about the book that we're reading this semester, Just Mercy. So, if you aren't familiar with it, Just Mercy is a book written by a man named Bryan Stevenson, who is the founder and the executive director of the Equal Justice Initiative in Montgomery, Alabama. Bryan Stevenson got his law degree from Harvard Law and almost immediately went into doing the kind of law that defends people who are on death row. In fact, he started doing that work while he was still in law school as a summer associate. The book is going to deal with a lot of cases that may feel really emotional to you. In fact, if they don't feel emotional to you, I'm not sure you have a heart. But some of them are really hard to read, and I want to give you a little bit of a heads up about that. I think the book is really important because it lifts the veil on what the actual lived experience is of people who are minorities, people of color, as well as people who are economically disadvantaged, particularly in the South, in the last 30 or 40 years that he's been working. The stories in this book are hard to read, not because they're really complicated or because they're written in difficult to understand or process language, but because the things that have happened are really hard to read about. It'll hurt your heart. And as I so often tell students at the beginning of the semester, I want you to know that while the stories are challenging to read, they're even harder to live. And as people living in 2020 America, I think the least we can do, just about literally, is to bear witness to these experiences. If, as you're reading, you find that things that have happened in your life that have been traumatic to you come to the surface because of what you're reading, I give you total blanket permission to skip a chapter or a story, or if you get 2 or 3 chapters into this book and say, this is too hard for me to read right now, please reach out to me because I will be happy to give you something different to do for this portion of your grade. I don't say this as an invitation for everybody to stop reading Just Mercy because I think the book is really important. But I also want to honor the fact that for some people reading this book is a re-traumatization of things that have happened to them in their past. So know that I'm here to support you, and the conversations that we have about this book will hopefully give us all an opportunity to hear from one another about what in this book impacted us. You may have also heard that the filmmakers of the movie Just Mercy, starring Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx, have decided to make the film available at no cost through Amazon Prime for the entire month of June. If you're the kind of person who gets frustrated by spoilers, you should not watch the movie until you finish the book. But if you, like me, don't really like surprises and feel uncomfortable with uncertainty, then I encourage you to watch the movie and get inspired by the incredible acting in the film. Bryan Stevenson was part of making the movie, and he was right alongside Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx the whole time they were making it. The film does compress some different stories into a single timeline so that there is a narrative arc to the film. You'll find that in the book there's one main story that comprises the basis of the film, but there are lots and lots and lots of other little stories in there, and they flatten some of those so that the film makes sense. So it's not perfectly historically accurate, but nothing that happens in the film is a misrepresentation of things that happened to Bryan Stevenson and his clients throughout the stories that you hear in Just Mercy. I do hope that before the end of June, you will have made it far enough into Just Mercy to feel like even if you don't want spoilers, you can go ahead and watch the movie for free, as I said, streaming from Amazon Prime through the end of June. It's really good. And I also encourage you to look for other things that Bryan Stevenson has done, including his TED Talk. So that's all I wanted to mention in this video, but I did want to address this because I do know that, especially right now, a lot of our more marginalized communities are feeling very threatened. And reading a book with stories by people or about people who have been treated poorly by our justice system may not be what your heart needs right now. And if that's the case, like I said, reach out to me and we'll have a conversation. Okay? For everybody else, though, and I hope it's just about everyone in this class, again, even though the book is hard to read, it's hard to live, and I think that we have a responsibility to understand what the justice system is doing in our names. The justice system in this country is enforcing laws on behalf of the 330 million or so Americans. We should know what it's doing on our behalf so that if we feel it needs to be changed, we can speak intelligently to the changes we would like to see. So I look forward to continuing to talk to you, and reach out if you have any questions.